Okay, so on to our game packs. So these should be our slightly smaller, more targeted packs, costing as they do £18. But again, remember there are regular half-price sales. Getting one for £9 is quite a different matter. Okay, so going through again in our order of release. The first one we had was Outdoor Retreat. Now this, as is generally the case, comes with a new world. Now this is a destination world, Granite Falls, and what this means obviously is, unlike the residential ones, you cannot live in it. You can only go there on a holiday, so you need to book up a holiday on the phone and you can trot along there. Now you either rent out a sort of cabin there for a set number of days, or you can take a tent along, and there's a camping ground there, so you can go camping in your tent. Now, until relatively recently, obviously destination worlds were the only place that you could sort of go off for a holiday, but then when they introduced, obviously Snowy Escape came with a number of rental lots already on it, and they introduced in a free patch the ability to make rental lots anywhere, so destination worlds have become a little bit of an odd one now. Because they feel a bit limited, because when you had some was residential and some were for holidays, it kind of made sense. But now obviously you can technically go for a holiday in any residential world, but you still can't live in the destination worlds, so it's made them a little bit limited. But anyway, I feel like considering this was the first one, they did a fair job at sort of giving it a little smattering of the other things that you expect to get. Obviously, you know, your aspirations, skills, traits, those sorts of things, which I would always expect to get quite a few of with expansion packs. We don't always, but I would expect to. And with this one, yeah, we kind of got it covered. You get a new aspiration. It's a nature aspiration, the outdoor enthusiast. This obviously will require you to go off to Granite Falls and explore what it has to offer. We also get a new trait, which kind of makes sense because in the base game we already have the Loves the Outdoors traits. So with this pack we also get a Squeamish trait, and these obviously will make a fuss when they have insects crawling around and all those sorts of things you can imagine. We also get a new skill, which is what really sold me on the pack, because you get the skill of herbalism, and I find that a lot of fun. Since I'm a herbalist in real life, I just think it's cool. So obviously there's a lot of new collectibles will come in this pack. There's various new types of fish, I believe, but there's also a lot of new plants. And the fun thing about these is when you go to Granite Falls and you look around, you'll see a lot, and you'll see these unknown plants. Generally they come in pairs, so you get like an elderberry and you get noxious elderberry, you get huckleberry and muckleberry, and you get, so there's various ones where you get like an ordinary one and a poisonous one. One of the slightly strange things I find about this though is that if you hover over it, it says unknown plant, and then you click and you can put harvest unknown plant, but when you're hovering over the harvest unknown plant, you know, a little window will always pop up saying harvest and then the number of what it is, and it actually tells you what it is. So it'll be like harvest unknown plant, but the little window above it will say harvest 10 elderberries. When it goes into your inventory, it will then be as unknown fruit or unknown plant or whatever, but you will actually know what it is. So yeah, a bit weird. So you already know if it's poisonous, even though you can then, when you attempt to identify, they eat a bit of it and they don't get poisoned, but hey, don't ask. You build up your herbalism skill by studying herbal books to get you started, and you will then attempt to identify these unidentified plants in your inventory, and as your herbalism skills increase, you'll be able to identify more of them. Obviously you can then just plant them in your garden and grow more of them like normal plants, and you will use these to make various herbal remedies. So that is a new thing that this pack will introduce. So you can now brew herbal remedies on a stove or grill. And they'll take various plants, also insects. And you will be able to collect insects. Again, in Granite Falls, if you look around, you'll find various places. You'll find little ladybirds wandering around, swarms of bees, dragonflies, you name it. Click on a bunch of insects and you can collect the insects. And then very like frogs, you can just stick them in a tank, have a look at them. If you collect beetles, you can also grill them over a campfire, because why not? Campfires, of course, being something else introduced by this packs, as well as you've got tents as well, you've got coolers with things to keep them in. So you've got various things of camping equipment, all kind of ties into the build buy. Stuff, you also have a new little game, you have horseshoe pits, you'll find these around Granite Falls that you can play, but you can also get them build buy. And bear suits as well, or something else. There's a little bit weird, it warns you there's a bear wandering around Granite Falls. A little bit weird, it's actually a bloke in a bear suit who's very irritating. Apparently he irritates every sim who talks to him. Don't ask. You'll need also, as I say, to put sunsets into your herbal remedies. The herbalism skill can be a little bit boring to build up because you don't build it up very fast by, say, identifying herbs and, and brewing herbal remedies. And obviously it's not something you're going to do very often. So you're just going to end up doing a lot of book learning. So there is a mod that will make that more interesting. It will make things like collecting insects also build up your herbalism skill, and also make just generally hiking off for it quite useful. Also, if you do want to get some more herbal ingredients, check out the mod for this, which I think may only be available for spellcasters if you have Realm of Magic. But you can send them for ingredients because you use them in potions as well. So. But anyway, herbal remedies obviously will help to cure various illnesses. I'm not sure if you get any new illnesses in this pack. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Certainly the majority of illnesses obviously do come with a get to work pack, and so this will integrate with those. So if you don't have those, if you don't have the get to work pack, I'm not sure there's very much you can do with your herbal remedies, but hey. Another little thing you can get with this pack is the ability to stargaze or cloud gaze, depending on what time of day it is. This is very useful. It's a very useful little thing. It gets you a little +1 inspired moodlet, which actually lasts for, is it 6 or 8 hours? It's about the length of time it takes you to write a book, so it's quite handy if you do want to have your sim off, in the inspired mood to get better book writing. Just cloud gaze, stargaze, whatever, and then send them off to do it, and it will last for the time it takes them, so that's quite good. You also get the ability to go hiking, which I don't think you get with other packs until you had Snowy Escape. I know they talk about Snowy Escape being a thing like, oh, it introduced hiking as one of its selling points, and I'm thinking, well, we had that way back with like the first pack. Outdoor retreat. So yeah, anyway, a bit weird, but yeah. So you can send them off hiking. This is quite useful. They'll come back with lots of little happy moodlets, happy and inspired, and generally everything else from that. And also, so within Granite Falls, you've got all the individual places you can go to stay. Then you've also got the Granite Falls Woods. This is a great place to go exploring, to pick up insects, pick up new herbs and so on. And there's a little hidden bit that you can explore through, where you can find hermit in the woods. If you do find that a little bit boring, there's a fantastic mod from Zero which turns it into a kind of wise woman witch in the woods who can teach you herbalism instead, if you want something a bit different. But yeah, there are also a range of mods to expand the range of sort of herbal remedies and things that you can brew up, and to provide better integration with Realm of Magic. So you do have Realm of Magic. There are mods that will allow you to actually brew herbal remedies in the Cauldron, like potions, and kind of integrate that a little bit better, which is fun. So definitely look into some of those things if that is your cup of tea. overall, this is a fun little pack. It often gets compared with Jungle Adventure because they have a little similarity there, but Jungle Adventure is often thought to be the more in-depth. Although personally, I kind of prefer Outdoor Retreat in a lot of ways. That's just me. It's definitely one of those that, yeah. Is it worth £18? Depends how sold you are on the content of it. But for £9, so definitely maybe think about half price. But it's overall quite a well-made pack. Kind of does what it says. So then moving on to Spa Day. Yeah, this is one of those packs that I quite like it, only because, again, as a herbalist, so all that kind of holistic stuff kind of ties in with me, but personally I can best describe this pack as underbaked. If we go through the things out, obviously you don't get any kind of world with this, instead you get a lot assignment of a spa now. So when you first load up having built this game, you'll be invited to put spas in your lot, and then that irritating message will go away. So it will come with the various spas, and obviously you can download a whole load more on the gallery, and you can now assign a lot to be a spa and then stick a spa on it. So that's kind of instead of the new world, if that makes sense. It doesn't really come with anything much else either. You don't get any new aspirations, although there is a mod that certainly, there's at least one I know of that the want to kind of be a health freak kind of thing, and that will need this. But traits, again, well, there aren't any, but again there's a like a health nut trait which is quite amusing, and then there's quite a lot of modded traits I know which use this kind of because it's just one of the things like, hey, it was crying out for some traits to go with it, because some people are really into kind of health stuff, you know. There's the ones who constantly doing yoga all the time. We all know somebody like that. Come on, give us a trait for that. And I don't know why on earth they didn't. But instead they give us, obviously, the skill now of wellness. I don't quite know how you build this up as a skill, but what the hell? And the way that you build up your wellness skill is generally by doing yoga or by meditating. You now have, as well as the stuff that you're going to have in in your spa, you can make a home spa if you like, because you can have these things at home as well. So you can have a yoga mat. The yoga mat is quite a fun little thing. You can do various poses on it, or you can do whole routines. I thought the animations were quite well programmed, because they're actually quite realistic. It does look like they're doing yoga, and I quite like the way that they wobble and fall over when they first do it, and then they get better at it. There's a little meditation stool that they can do some meditation on. What's also quite fun is if you do then max out the wellness skill, you get some interesting abilities, sort of teleporting about whilst doing yoga. It's a bit weird, but yeah, it's entertaining. You've also got some incense, which is fabulously useful if you like to burn your house down regularly. It's supposed to put your sim in a particular sort of mood. If you want to do that, I recommend using, there's a candle mod, which I talked about in my mods for general gameplay, because personally I have found, and I know I'm not the only person who's found this, that the only thing incense does is cause a large house fire. You also have your massage tables. You can get various kinds of massages now, and you have a sauna. This also does include an interesting new death, because you can now overheat in a sauna and die. So yeah, it also introduces some new aquariums and some new fish for you, and there's a few little odds and ends like that. But overall, I do feel this pack was underdone. I like what they did in it. I just feel like, well, was that it? And it's so targeted. I mean, yeah, maybe generally speaking, you want to, have the option to send your Sims to relax in the spa or get some feeling good, maybe. But personally, I feel like unless you're very into yoga and that kind of thing, you're not going to get a lot out of this pack. So yeah, I think if that is your thing, then it's well done enough for you to want to buy it. But if it's not, yeah, probably give it a miss. Okay, on to Dine Out. Another one of those, slightly odd ones. In terms of, I mean, obviously I've got little notes on every one. I've thought of, well, what's the world? Aspiration, trait, skill, blah blah blah. Other. Dine Out has only got an other category. It comes with nothing of any of those things. None at all. And again, I just feel like we could have thrown a few in, couldn't we? So what this pack allows you to do is to own a restaurant. So, I mean, this is what the blurb will tell you. To be clear, that's what the pack allows you to do, okay? It does not come with anything else. It is what it says is what it does. So it allows you to own a restaurant. You can also obviously visit restaurants as other Sims, although be aware that they will probably starve to death before they're given food if you're like most people and have the bugs and everything. Now, okay, there are some other little things you get with it. Obviously, you can now have your Sims, you know, employ little waiters and those and whatever and everything. You get your chef stations. You also get experimental cooking, which is a thing that will then possibly sort of come into your game. But yeah, really, I mean, this is one of those packs that I do have this, but I always forget that I have this pack. I didn't get it for ages simply because the majority of people you talk to will say that it is so buggy it's not worth buying because it's just full of bugs and it does not work. Now, that is some people's experience, it's not everybody's, but I did end up getting it simply because I was getting... There was some expansion pack and some game pack. No, expansion pack and a stuff pack that I really wanted, and there was a half price sale on them, so I was going to go on and get them. And then I realised that they both came in a bundle with Dine Out, which was then further reduced. So it was even just, so it meant that to have the Dine Out as well was only going to add a couple of quid to my order. And I thought, I don't know what, I'll give it a go because not everybody has bugs with that. I like the idea of it. I think it would be really fun if it works. And I don't tend to get a fabulous number of bugs in my game usually. But I don't know if that was because that was back in the days when I didn't have many packs. Because the more packs I've had that I found, the more bugs I've got. Well, that's inevitable, isn't it? But yes, ironically, so I ended up putting them. I have not used it ever. I've just forgotten that I have it. I've forgotten to, and it's one of those packs that unless you specifically go looking for it, you don't know you have it. If that makes sense. So yeah, I must do that. So I can't really talk about that in depth. But I would definitely say, yeah, have a look at some of the reviews of it. Also, I know there are a lot of mods out there that, you know, people have tried to address the worst issues with it, but obviously if you do play on console and you can't have the mods, I don't know how well it runs on console, I really don't. So maybe do some research on that one. But yeah, if the idea of running a restaurant really appeals to you, then that's what this pack does. That's really, really good. If you're a bit nonplussed about that idea, you don't really fancy running a restaurant, then I wouldn't bother to get this pack because it's not going to do anything else for you. Or going to restaurants, obviously, if that really appeals. But you can do that with this. So yeah, not to sort of be really negative, but just be aware there are a lot of bug issues associated with this pack. So, on to, yeah, from a pack that was a wee bit smaller for teachers to one that was actually really well done, and that is Vampires. Now, to go through this pack, the world that we get with this, yes, I say that's forgotten hollow. This is one of them I find the most annoying worlds. I think it annoys me because I think it was so well done. I think it's really, really gorgeous. It's not everyone's cup of tea, the aesthetic maybe, but it's for the pack. It's perfect for the pack. It's vampires, so they live in a world that doesn't get much sunlight, and it's all dark and gothic and creepy. And I just love the aesthetic. I love the way they did it. What pisses me off is the fact that it's only got 4 lots in it. Just 4. And okay, it's a game pack and it's meant to be smaller and all that. Whoa, okay. But come on. Could we not just done a little bit more? Like, if the world had just been rubbish, I'd have just gone, oh, well, that's just rubbish. But it's so good! And it's so small! And I know that kind of annoys me. In terms of other things, you get a decent amount of other stuff with it, I have to say, because you get a whole 3 aspirations. We get a popularity aspiration to be a good vampire, a knowledge one, a master vampire, and we get a family aspiration, like a vampire family, a lineage, which is kind of cute. But if that is not enough, then there are a ton of modded aspirations out there for you, which are fantastic. There's a Bloodthirsty one, there's a Dracula one, there's also, if you want to go the other route, there's kind of Vampire Slayer one, where you can turn your human Sims into Vampire Slayers and they get special powers against vampires, so that comes with the traits, but there's also aspirations that go with that. And you can then create a little Romeo and Juliet story with a vampire and vampire slayer. And all sorts of fun storytelling possibilities with that. Now traits, annoyingly traits is the one thing this doesn't have, but as I have just alluded to, there are a ton of mods out there that relate to this as a bloodthirsty trait, and then there's various other whatever. But in terms of giving your vampires, you can almost give them like kind of traits through the skill tree, the weaknesses and whatever, so that's kind of in there. You always get 2 skills. We get the pipe organ skill, because pipe organs are a thing in this, and obviously that does not just apply to vampires, we can do that. We also get the vampire lore skill, which is quite an interesting skill, because it has a lot of levels to it. I think it's 15 levels to it, is it? So it's certainly more than the usual 10. The only thing I find a bit frustrating about this skill is, so the way you build this up, this is not what I find frustrating about it, you first of all need to research vampires on the computer, and you can do this as a human sim as well as being a vampire. And then you'll unlock the ability to buy these vampire tomes, and you need to finish one before you can buy the next level up, and so on. But as you're reading it, little pop-ups will bob up telling you little notifications telling you interesting information that you've learned as you go along. But there doesn't seem to be any way of storing this. I was like, I don't know why there's not like a bit in the notebook, like for gardening and fishing, isn't there one for vampire lore or something? Because it tells you this information, and sometimes you might actually want to refer to it, but there's no way you can refer to it. So, what am I supposed to do? Write it down? I mean, for goodness sakes. So I just found that a little bit weird. I don't know why there isn't a kind of a way that you kind of store up these tidbits in the way that you do when you research the plants in gardening or something like that. I just thought that would have been helpful. Yeah, I mean, technically you could look these things up on the internet or something, but you know, like, go on, within the context of the game here, can we have a bit of realism? Like maybe they make notes on it or something. So yeah, that's a little bit weird. But that will tell you potentially useful things, like, you know, stuff that you can do, which we'll come on to in a minute. You also get some lot traits with this, so you get on a dark ley line, which will make, I think that's the one that makes vampire babies more likely, isn't it? Because babies born here. What's the trouble teething? I don't know. There's also a registered vampire lair, and they'll have stuff delivered to them, vampire packages, don't ask. And there's a vampire nexus trait as well, which makes lots of vampires come to that plot. You will also get some new little plants, one of which obviously is garlic, which is quite handy because it's used in a ton of recipes, so then you'll have your garlic plants that you can just use in cooking. Plasma fruit trees, which are quite fun, and I'll come on to them. I think you get the wolfsbane plant as well, actually, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So basically what you're getting with this pack, obviously the main thing you're getting is the vampire life state, so you can now create vampires in CAS, and you'll have a ton of stuff to make them look vampiric. But if you want to give them a sort of ordinary disguise, you can then give them a dark form, which kind of automatically comes locked to the, but just click the unlock thing, and that way you can separate them and have them look completely different. Or you can just be stupid with it, like I did with one of mine. Make her look like a vampire, normally, with like red eyes and generally evil looking, and then she turns into a sugar plum fairy when she goes into her dark form. It's to ruin people's childhood, but yeah, don't ask. Yes, as I say, you do get a few peripheral things with this. You get the pipe organs, you get coffins and things that you can just That you also get a ton of gothic architecture and stuff, which is really, really cool if you want to make a little gothic mansion. All that kind of stuff. But yeah, vampires in general, I think they are a really cool life state. They give you something a bit different when you are bored with pain with your human Sims. If you do have some of those that you do want to become vampires, of course they can ask other vampires to turn them. I think they may need a good relationship or something with them to get them to agree. But anyway, obviously if you're at times when you're not playing with vampires, some people I've heard complain that they're very intrusive. I've never found this personally, because when you start off with the game you only get the two, you get those, well, there's 3 vampires living there, aren't there? Those don't count because they're good vampires. I always feel sorry for them, they're always uncomfortable when you meet them. But you get famous Vlad, who may occasionally visit you in the middle of the night and bite your Sims, but you can make garlic talismans, which should keep him away. There's a whole bunch of other vampires you meet at various times. Personally, I've never found vampires the least bit annoying. The only thing that annoys me about them is not that they come around and bite my Sims in the middle of the night. I know it can happen, but it very, very rarely happens, I find. I just find them a bit weird, the way they always come and visit you. Like midnight or something, and your Sims have gone to bed because they've got work the next day, and a vampire comes knocking on your door. Hello? Why? Okay, that's when you're up, but go and visit another vampire. Why are you coming? Sims are obviously not going to be up. I just find it a bit weird. But yeah, vampires, obviously their needs will be quite different, so when you pump up you'll have a very different little Simology panel. Obviously they don't need to do mundane things like, you know, visiting the loo and so on. They do have the hygiene requirement there, but they don't need to take a shower every few days. Their thirst obviously you know, will happily start going down, so you can either send them out hunting on other Sims, or you can make them a good vampire if you're into Twilight, and you can make them drink plasma fruit. Now you'll find a plasma fruit tree growing in the Forgotten Hollow, but otherwise you can order the seeds for it. I think you need to get a certain amount of vampire lore for this. I'm not sure how much, but you need to get a certain amount, and then you'll be told about, oh, you can order plasma fruit, so that you can either buy plasma packs, which you can drink straight away, and you can also buy plasma fruit seeds. So then you plant the trees and you have a load of plasma fruit. They only fill up a tiny bit of your thirst, so you're going to get through quite a lot of them. The plasma packs are like 50 simoleons or something, so you probably want to get quite a few plasma fruit, you know, tree seeds, and plant a whole grove of them or something if you're going to go down that good vampire route, because you're going to get through quite a lot of them. But yeah, to be honest, I don't get the whole good vampire thing. I don't see the point. It's super, super easy to send your vampire Sims out hunting, as it were. You just go out, pick on a victim, compel for a small drink, and yeah. And it doesn't even hurt them. It doesn't even hurt them if you compel them for a large drink, to be honest. You can also ask their permission if you've got, like, you know, a slightly kinky relationship with one. Then, yeah, you can go down that route. But there's a lot of options with it. You do also have, obviously vampires don't need to sleep, but they have vampiric energy. They can build this up by actually having a kit. They don't usually sleep very well, and then there's various weaknesses you can take on where they sleep even worse than they normally do. But you can do this dark meditation, which will build up, which I've always found completely adequate for keeping up their energy. It doesn't really diminish except when they're using their vampiric powers, of which they have a number, and you will get more as you go along. So yeah, there are lots of possibilities for having fun with this. You can obviously, yeah, as I say, send your vampires off out. I mean, they have all the traditional kind of vampire weaknesses, so they can only come out at night, obviously. If they're living in Forgotten Hollow, you'll find this easier because there's less daylight. They will start to fry in the sun, their vampire energy will go down, and of course they can eventually die from charring up in the sun. But yes, if you want to send them off hopping around there, send them around the neighbourhood, go and visit their friends, sneaking. I have to say that is something that's slightly irritating, because if you do go off and visit somebody's house with the idea thinking, oh, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll catch them all in bed. No, they will in fact all be up wandering around the house, because that's the way the game works. When you go for a new lot, everyone's awake. It's kind of weird, but never mind. You can send them to bed. because it makes them very tired when you drink their blood. So you can just work your way around a whole family. It's quite entertaining. And if you fancy turning them into vampires, you can of course do so. That is one of the main powers that you will need to purchase on your little skill tree. So obviously you'll see with the little bat symbol, it will tell you what rank of vampire you are, and as you practice your various vampire skills you will then build that up. And if you open up your little vampire skill tree here, you will see as you go up each level you will have various perks that you are then able to purchase. Now every so often as you go up a level it will tell you you're going to purchase any more perks, you have to also purchase weaknesses that go along with them. But you'll have a lot of fun powers there. You'll have the ability to turn into a bat, so you can fly somewhere else, you can obviously turn them into vampires, you can be their personalities, you can get very alluring so that the Sims fall hopelessly in love with you. You know, all the sort of stereotypical vampire things. You can also get immunity to garlic, you can not have to be invited in, you just go in, all those kinds of things. I like the fact they try and make it a little bit more of a challenge by saying you have to have the weaknesses as well. To be honest, the weaknesses are quite insignificant, simply because they're things like, oh, you know, compelling your Sim to sleep in a coffin, they can't sleep in a normal bed, making their sleep not really work for them, so they're really restless sleepers. You get misty drinkers, or their thirst go down quicker, or not able to eat human food. But you don't have to take on very many weaknesses, so you can easily fix it so that they only have weaknesses that don't really matter. You see what I mean? So yeah, you can have a lot of fun with the vampires. Again, it's a pack that's a little bit separate from the others. You'll probably be playing with vampires or not. You probably don't really want to interact with them when you're not playing with them, and you won't really see a lot of them, to be honest. I believe there's actually a mod that you can use to turn off their visits altogether if you don't want them. So overall, this is a really well made pack, but obviously it's about vampires. If you don't want vampires in your game, don't get this pack. Okay, so just to quickly mention about careers, here I will talk more from Realm of Magic because I've more experience with those ones, but careers is something that game packs don't really do, which I think is a real shame for the occult Sims, because I think it's a little bit weird when you send your spellcasters or your vampires off to a normal job. It just seems a bit strange. No vampires working in an office, okay. It can also be quite annoying with a vampire if you've got one that's got very low stimulus resistance. Obviously they've got to go outside to go to a career in the day. And if you don't notice when they come back, of course they stand there like a lemon burning. So if as you go over, as ever, mod the Sims, look for careers. There are some specialist vampire careers there. Now I haven't played most of them myself, I have got them, but I haven't got around to doing them yet. So just take a look for yourself, see what you think of them. There's a face-off going on there between a wood pigeon and a red wing, which is very distracting. They're going after the same ivy berries and they're cross about it.